professionalism and integrity as Superintendent of Police Daniel Itse Ame rejects $200,000 bribe to arrest robbery syndicates. Former Army Chief Abdurrahman Dambazao says terrorists, bandits, and IPOB members are threats to 2023 elections. And later on the show, university strike continues as ASU federal government meeting end in deadlock. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Major Akikbelu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with police matters. A rejuvenated and reformed police force is unfolding before us, and we cannot but urge the authorities to sustain the tempo. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Akali Baba, has commended 3 officers for extremely exemplary conduct. One of them is Superintendent of Police Daniel Itse Ame, the divisional police officer in charge of Nasarawa Division in Kano State, who exhibited sound professionalism and integrity by rejecting $200,000 bribe. That's $20,000 bribe, which led to the arrest of an armed robbery syndicate. That amount is $20,000, not $200,000. Now, Julie, this is rare. If you check out for those of us that will travel frequently, anytime we think about foreign exchange, we look at it in exchange to Naira. $20,000 is something that is in millions. So
if you were to use 600 Naira as the exchange rate, of course, this morning it was 670 to $1. So if we even use 600, that's 120,000 Naira. 120 million.
No.
Have you?
No, it's not 12 million.
12 million. 12 million.
12 million. Yes.
12 million. So
for a police, divisional police officer?
Yes, somebody who probably even maybe a station, they don't give him money for fuel regularly, he doesn't get his impress regularly. If he can come up, if he can reject this kind of money, it shows that as much as there are so many bad eggs in the police, there are decent people in the police as well. There was another constable, Nora Maude, attached to the Katsina Police Command, who found $800 in an envelope belonging to a pilgrim, and he returned it. So in this case, there was a robbery that happened. He bust the armed robbery gang, and the leader of the robbery gang, named Alizaki, then offered him $20,000 to not escalate the matter. But he collected the money and then notified the Commissioner of Police, and the money was used as exhibit against these guys who were transferred to force headquarters in Abuja, and their trial has begun. So it's not in all cases that it's not rare. It's not common to find policemen demonstrate.
In some cases, you can use 200,000 Naira, 300,000 Naira to stop a very crucial case like that.
Yes, a big case. You even kill it permanently, But
not talk of 12 million Naira.
We have said it in the past that it's not everyone in the police who is corrupt. There are still some good people in the police. There are some people in the police who would rather die than take a bribe from you. A friend of mine in the US was saying that he has never seen a Nigerian policeman who is not corrupt. And I said, look, we've been talking about Fimeho Adeoye, who rose to become an AIG Federal SAS. He's not known to have collected a single bribe from anybody. Even his colleagues will readily testify to that. And you can't offer a woman to him as a bribe, because sometimes women can also be used as a bait. But you can't do that to him. So every profession has bad eggs. I'm happy the police are kicking out the bad eggs from their ranks. They've just arrested another set who took, just some days back, who took people, who arrested people and then used the POS machine to extort money from them.
That's
policemen
ridiculous.
going around with POS machine. But these ones, at least, they are giving the police a good name.
Mayor.
Yeah, let me say I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed because when you look at the state of things now, there is tendency for an average worker to be tempted to collect bribe. Because,
the
hunger in the land, the difficult economic situation, and all that. And for a case like that, that was under his purview, it's easy for him to kill the case if he had wanted to. So to reject a bribe that is over 12 million naira is very commendable. What that shows is that we must not give up on the Nigerian police. Though the Nigerian police have always proved themselves to be capable when they want to, especially when they travel outside this country. They've always excelled and in some cases win awards. But the situation, because every country gets the leadership or the police that they deserve, because we run a very corrupt society, we have influenced our law enforcement agencies negatively. So people like this DPO has been able to show us that we should have hope and not give up on the Nigerian police, and it's something very commendable.
And in the midst of this, when you look at it, it's not something that is common. It's not something you find, but there's just be some people that will be determined. In this Nigerian police, I have seen people that they are pastors. They're not interested in you posting them to checkpoints. I used to have a friend. He doesn't like posted checkpoints. He wants to always lead the fellowship within the barracks. He wants to be in the office to do administrative job, and is satisfied with his salary.
At least that way, the temptation is not there to extort money from people. The over exposure of the police even to the civil populace can lead to indiscipline and all kinds of bad behavior. This officer, the PPRO in Kano just sent some information to me about this officer. The total money that was robbed, that he recovered from the gang that he busted, was 322,500,000.
But that's
Million?
Yes, that's what they sent to me. 276,313,000 recovered by the DPO in both dollar and naira.
so out of the money, they
That's
now
why they are
offered him
offering
the bribe
$20,000.
of 20,000.
Yes, he recovered the money in both naira
And dollars.
and dollar. So they have now offered him 20,000. So
It's very good that the Inspector General of Police, commended the guy. What I will also advise is that he should be promoted. Because one of the things where it is important to reward excellence anytime you see officers that have lived above board. So it's important that the commendation should not just be commendation only from the IG. It should also be promoted. Because if the money involved is as much as 300 million naira, almost 300 million naira, that's a huge case. It shows that guy is a special officer. Like I said, things are so difficult in Nigeria that it takes a lot of effort for anybody not to be so tempted. It takes a lot of effort for somebody not to be so tempted. And even my respect for the officer has increased based on this information that we have just received. Because if you bust a gang, that if it shows that the operation was a very big operation, even his life will have been endangered because the money involved is a lot of money.
So this is the officer.
Yeah.
We've seen officers in the past, apart from busting this thing, they will bust the gang, they will do everything, but the proceeds They will tamper with the
In
proceeds.
fact, they will
Take-
confiscate it for
yes.
themselves. Yes.
Yes, now. Yes.
They will claim the proceeds.
Yes.
And they will kill the people involved. Anything that will stand in their way with the evidence.
Was it not in this country that some Hausa men went to do business? They are cattle sellers. On their way back in Kogi State, some policemen attacked them. You can imagine policemen attacking travelers because they knew that they had cash on them. They attacked them, killed them, and set them ablaze. But unfortunately for them, there was one of those traders ran into the bush, so they didn't know. It was that one that now lodged the report. They didn't just kill them, they set them ablaze, so that it would look like the vehicle caught fire. It was the former Chief Judge of Kogi State, Justice Umaru Eri, that handled that matter and he sentenced them to death. In fact, they tried their matter quickly. Policemen. We were discussing yesterday about a policeman who tore a page where the indictment of Captain Balarabe was written.
Yes.
That Captain Balarabe, guilty of terrorist act, along with other people, in killing those IRT people. That portion where the officer who led the operation, where he wrote it, he tore it. So as we had bad eggs in the police, we have good ones. And there are still many good ones. But we need to reward them, because people will mock them that, look, despite all your honesty, you are broke. You see, you don't have money.
As we are celebrating this person,
we should reward them, yes.
Okay, I have Phillips calling us from the United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us.
Reward them, because people will mock them that, look.
Phillips, just step away from your monitor or turn down the volume of your TV set. Okay, Phillips, are you there?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, Phillips.
Hello?
Go ahead.
You're on air. He's listening to himself.
Okay, he's listening to himself. So we said celebrate them like this, and make that reward a constant thing.
Yes, for you to celebrate and reward,
should be rewarded,
promotions and things like that.
And if
giving higher responsibilities, because what the guy has done is very unusual. Like I said, especially at these times when things are really difficult for people.
Yes.
Things are really difficult for Nigerians. We have to accept that. And there is tendency for you to have that temptation. I'm even sure that some of his friends will still mock him to say, you mean you will recover over almost 300 million naira?
No, they'll still mock him.
And you just left it like that, because it's unusual. Nigerians don't, like I said, the society is so corrupt that everybody justifies an action like that. You would have just looked at it that it is PR, I didn't ask for it, they just gave it to me and all that, and he tried to now make the case good for them. So I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed because it's unusual for Nigerian police. There are a lot of bad eggs have messed up the image of the Nigerian police. But for every case, there's always exceptional cases, and this is one of the good stories of Nigeria.
So why we have extremely dirty policemen, we have honest ones. We have ones that their colleagues even refer to as too much money. As in, within the police force, they are so rich.
They have fleet of cars.
What's the source of the wealth? How can a policeman be so rich? How?
And some of them who are rich, they are not even of the officer cadre, but the sort of dirty things that they do made them rich. Some of them from the IRT team. There were many reports that we had that they will bust someone. They will now be harassing members of the family of that person to pay them money. Sometimes they will even take control of the accounts, bank accounts of suspects, and be taking money off the bank account. There are so many reports have come out. You will be torturing people to release money. You collect their BVN and other details that you need, and then be siphoning money from the account of a suspect. And you're in this Lagos, when I was editor of PM News, there was a policeman in the Agege area who detained, a senior policeman who detained a suspect. The woman, the wife of the suspect, then came to plead that the husband should be released. He used the opportunity to sleep with the woman right there in his office. He didn't even bother to lock the door. It was a junior officer who opened the door and found him on top of the wife of a suspect. Yes, this is not fiction. It's happening somewhere in Agege. So how do the guy now, he was rude to his boss. Like, how can you do this? You are sleeping with the wife of a suspect. Why are you like this? Why did you do this?
And the wife of the suspect is so loose.
Do you know the kind of threats?
Pressure.
The pressure.
Solomon from Oshogo, thank you for joining us.
Hello, sir.
Right here and there.
I'm with you.
Solomon, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm calling from Oshogo.
Okay.
Precisely, I'm calling from Okefia, Oshogo.
Okefia.
Okefia, Oshogo.
Okay.
Actually, the topic you are discussing concerns the recovery and the rejections of bribe. A police officer is a welcome idea, most especially at this period where all Nigerians are watching. The money is too big, $20,000, but the exemplary performances or exhibited by the policeman is acknowledged, and I appreciate the Inspector General of Police for recognizing or for recommended for recognition. That is what I'm saying. Let me say for recognitions of exemplary award, but it has to be coupled with others' benefits.
Okay, thank you, Solomon.
I will suggest in the house that you need to be promoted too.
Yeah. We said so earlier. Thank you. We said so earlier. So, gentlemen, it should be a constant thing. It will no longer be news if you say a policeman is collecting bribe. But if you see a policeman that rejects $20,000, that will make headline news in Nigeria.
Yeah, so when the IG comments like that, it should also be rewarded.
Rewarded by promotion.
Like yes.
And I'm happy that it's even happening now at a time when they are chasing out those bad eggs.
Yes.
They should reward the good ones.
Yes,
somebody was harassing the IG and telling the IGs to stop sacking policemen. This is the same society that will say the police has been harboring armed robbers in uniform and other dregs.
Yeah.
You are now saying that, look, why is he sacking people?
Making a public
So must they keep...
them.
So if there is an animal in police uniform who is trigger happy to kill people, look at that one that used cutlass to beat people. So somebody will sit somewhere and say absolute rubbish that they should not be they should not be dismissing them. They should keep them until we have another SARS riot. No, I mean the IG is doing the right thing by sending them back.
I agree. The IG is doing the right thing, because if there are no consequences for actions, people will do worse things.
All right. As we march to the 2023 elections, politicians and Nigerians have eyes on the prize, but no one is talking about how we will navigate our troubles to get there. A former chief of army staff, retired General Abdurrahman Dambazao, has warned that activities of terrorists and members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, constitute major threats to the 2023 elections. Delivering a lecture in Abuja, Dambazao said insecurity will definitely affect conduct of the elections because some affected communities will still be displaced and the terrorists will likely to continue attacks on soft targets while access to polling units in border areas may pose some difficulties. Gentlemen, apart from the IPOB in the southeast, we are looking at those communities that have been taken over by bandits.
Yes.
That bandits, they have their own chiefs, they have their own tax collectors,
District heads.
they have their district head. They've taken over. There's no presence of government whatsoever in areas in the north.
Yes, many areas. I just returned from.
So INEC cannot bring their polling units close to the.
Even before now, you know, there was a by-election in Zamfara State sometime last year. INEC sent a list to the parties indicating where, just a by-election, House of Assembly election, it's just a small part of the state that was affected. But INEC sent a list indicating the communities that it will not take ballot papers to. So that don't even expect that those ones will vote. That's already a threat to
the success of the election.
Because if
people will be disenfranchised.
A lot of people. I looked at, I was with former Governor Yari, and he showed me, he said, look at what is going on. This Bakura area in Zamfara.
Where the former governor is from?
Yes. He said, look at all of these places. INEC said they will not deploy people. It means only the places that they can guarantee the safety of their staff. Those are the places where election will hold. And unfortunately for us, these guys are spreading their tentacles. We were talking about last year. They have acquired, in inverted commas, more places, more communities now. You can imagine how many INEC ad hoc staff or permanent staff will feel comfortable to go and conduct election in Briningwari. And Briningwari is a very big area. Who will feel comfortable to go and do election in Briningwari? In the northeast, especially Borno State, they found a way around it. Elections, including party primary elections, were conducted inside IDP camps. 2015 election, more than 2/3 of the elections in Borno were held inside IDP camps. The same thing happened in 2019. Borno North, the people went to do election in Monguno. So if you are from Guzamala, you are from Kukawa, you are from this, all of those places in, you are from Abadam, all of them, they had their elections inside in Monguno, which was deemed to be safe. There is a garrison command there. So sufficient military presence to allow election to happen. In places where you do not have sufficient military presence, because the military is already stretched, how do you do election in those places? So the threat in the northeast, in the northwest, and parts of north central, the Shiroro area, because now in Niger State, there are at least 5 local governments where bandits are running rampant. How do we, this is something new to them. We did not have elections in the past that came under threat of banditry. So this is a new threat. So how they intend to do elections in those places, whether they will just designate some communities to say, oh yeah, those of you from Beningwari, but how do they even come out of their area? There are some places Ayo, that if you step out by 1 kilometer from your community, your life is in danger. So this is the thing.
Mayor, now looking at it, coming to the southeast now, there was a video I saw sometimes last year, and the people that were shooting the video, this unknown gunmen, marksmen, they came out. People that were doing this, participating in INEC continuous registration, and they killed some people. Yes. They were attacked, and they are saying that we said there's no election in the east. There should be no election in the east. No election in the east. And they wanted to frustrate the process of collection of PVC, and some INEC officials even died.
My fear for 2023 is that there may not be an election. We have to find a way, the government have to find a way of reducing the security situation between now and election day.
The insecurity.
The insecurity between now and election day. Because why I said that there may not be an election is because if the insecurity continues, there is no way people will be able to vote. Yes, I know that government can take a decision that no matter the problems, people will still go ahead and vote, because even in war-torn countries like Afghanistan, people still come out and vote. But the problem we have in Nigeria now is that, unlike before, previous elections, that the insecurity was mainly in the northeast. So you can take a decision that people will vote in ID camps. Now, the insecurity is all over. Like IPOB in the southeast, there is bandits in the northwest, and we still have ISWAP and Boko Haram running riot. So that is why my fear that we may not have an election, or we may have an election that will not really reflect the wish of the Nigerian people. Because these bandits, unless we can reduce their influence between now and election time, if things continues the way they are, bandits that can attack railway and since April, they're still holding on to people and getting away with it. Bandits that have made the Nigerian Railway Corporation to be able to stop some services because of fear of attack. If things continue like that, how will you convince people to come out for election? Or if they come out for election and they are attacked, nobody will even want to want to come out when in subsequent elections. So we have to pray that the security forces will be able to put their acts together and reduce the menace of these bandits, so that we can have an election that will reflect the wishes of the Nigerian people.
Okay, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please keep it locked.
The federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, announces the availability of COVID-19 and childhood vaccines nationwide. With the disturbing increase in reported cases of COVID-19 infections across Nigeria, protect yourself and loved ones from the harmful virus by getting vaccinated. Visit the nearest public or private health facility and mass vaccination sites today to receive the first, second, or booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 vaccines are given to persons 18 years and above, including pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers, while childhood vaccines are given to children from birth to 5 years for protection against polio, hepatitis, yellow fever, measles, meningitis, and other vaccines-preventable diseases. All vaccines are free, safe, and effective. For inquiries, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 0700-220-1122.
This message is from NPHCDA in partnership with the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Showing up in style inspires great confidence. IVM G5T appeals to class.
Time is of the essence. With IVM Kappa, business and meetings are always on the go.
Fun time with the family. Thank you to IVM Kingdom. IVM carries always stealing the show. Isn't she beautiful? Influence defines a great leader. IVM Seriki is Africa's commute king. Strong, reliable, and durable. With the concept of regionalization, Innocent Vehicle is committed to satisfying its customers with producing their everyday dream cars.
IVM, pride of Africa.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangout, and we're reaching you from TVC News here from Lagos, Nigeria. And I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akipelu in the studio. Now, Jide, still talking about this situation and the warning ahead of. Now, I remember the 2015 election. The former National Security Advisor, that Colonel Dasuki, actually raised this at a point in time in Chatham House in London, and that's actually informed the shifting of that particular exercise for 7 weeks, and we got results that time.
Yes.
Those local governments, they were able to stem the tide and were able to conduct elections there. It's always like that anytime it's close to election time. Now it's like 6 months to that cycle now, to the February cycle now. And what is the best thing for the federal government to do to make sure that we have credible exercise so that nobody from any part of the country will be disenfranchised?
My biggest concern is the North. Honestly, in the Southeast, the threat of IPOB is concentrated in Imo and Anambra, and it's the border communities between Imo and Anambra. It's not even many parts of Imo. It's just a small part of Imo State where you see this threat. You know, so when you go to Enugu State, it's relatively more secure than other southwest states. Ebonyi too, to a large extent. So, but when you are talking about recurrent attacks and activities of unknown gunmen, it is concentrated in a few local governments in Anambra bordering Imo. Places like Aguata, Osu, and others. Just the area where the governor comes from. You know, the Olu zone, part of Olu zone. Those boys, they've not been able to totally suppress those boys. But when we had the Nigerian Army Day celebration that I attended, even on Monday, when people ought to have sit at home, there was traffic gridlock in town because the presence of soldiers gave people the confidence to storm out en masse. There was traffic gridlock in Owerri that day because I was there. We were even saying, why should you fix your event for Monday? Well, they said, look, we will dominate the area and this thing will happen. But you know that when you are doing an election that is countrywide, you may not be able to deploy maximum force in everywhere that there is threat.
We might not even have that capacity.
No, it's not going to be there. How do you secure everywhere? How many soldiers do we have? How many policemen do we have? Units? And the areas where we are experiencing threats are many. You look at Katsina, for example, at least 13 local governments. There are threats. I was in Jibia last weekend. Jibia town itself is safe. But as you step out, even the road leading to Maradi, a commercial route where people used to do business and make money. If you try to go, or you go to Shimfida, where even the army was forced to retreat at one point, you could lose your life. So if in a local government, like 4 or 5 wards are no-go areas, how do you do election? So there is no, we don't have any choice but to scale up the operations against these bandits. We must get the strategy right. We have told them repeatedly that you can't be doing it piecemeal. It has to be. Let Nigeria admit that it is at war. If we want to fight these people for 6 months, we know that, look, the operation will last this long. The areas where the operation will take place, we already know. We'll block all their exit points so that they cannot run away. All the things that we think we have done. With the other day, we said, no, don't use your phones. They stopped telco services. But these guys are back. They even found a way around it.
Use foreign numbers.
Yes, they found a way around it. So now it's still phones that they are using to negotiate with people to pay ransom. How can we have a country where people are comfortable to make phone calls to ask for ransom and we can't track them? So if we crush them and we still have time between now and the election, if we are really serious and we get our strategy right, we have enough time between now and the election to crush these people. What happened in 2015? All the big towns that Boko Haram controlled, all the big local governments in Borno, in Adamawa, in Yobe, we recovered all of those local governments before the election started.
6 months.
So nothing says we cannot do it again. In fact, we can do a bigger operation, knowing that this is what we face.
Mayor, even the threats of violence, looming violence or impending violence, can even cause people to just sit down at home.
Absolutely.
Not
But what I think government should do, in the case of Southeast, like Jide said, what we are dealing with is some parts of Imo and Anambra. And before the election, maybe months preceding the election, we can deliberately do some cleanup in those areas, put the IPOB boys there on the defensive, and on election day, deploy maximum force to those 2 states, that area of them. I think we can do that. In the case of the North Central and the Northwest, the problem we have is that this government does not have the will to do what is right. But because election is coming, and if they are interested in that election, what I think they should do, one, I am not sure, but I think there seems to be an approval now for us to use our air power on the bandits, because recently we've been hearing stories of targeted attack to some bandits.
No, they've even confirmed to me that they've started using it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now that we can now that we can deploy
Northeast.
They are using it to Kano now.
Yes.
In the Northwest.
In the Northwest.
Using it, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So now that we can deploy our air power in the Northwest, what the government should do is that months prior to the election, the government should be honest with themselves to say, look, some part of the Northwest and the North Central have been taken over by the bandits. And we are in a state of war with them. There must be a major operation in all the states in the Northwest and the part of North Central where the bandits are. So that we not only decimate them, we will be able to push them further into Sambisa Forest and put them in a situation where they will not be able to threaten the election.
Whether it's 6 or 12, if you can deploy this effectively, maybe 6 of the Super Tucanos or 12 of the Super Tucanos, and effectively sustain campaign for, like a week, this should have impact.
Yes, but it has to be done in coordination with the surface troops.
The ground forces, yes.
One of the reasons why we are not achieving much is the Air Force have their own campaign. They do it separately. When you attack those boys, you need to put troops on ground to take over that area and dominate the area. But if you don't do that, they will come back. Yeah. So it's like we are just wasting our ammunition. Yeah. So they will come back.
And I suspect you don't have enough manpower.
You are not coming down.
To hold.
But we don't also have the will to do that.
I know that it is also extremely capital intensive. These bombs, 2,000-pound bombs, some of them cost in excess of 12,000 euros and all that. So wherever you are dropping,
you are dropping money.
It's money. They are very expensive. Wherever you are dropping a 2,000-pound bomb, you know that it's money that you are dropping.
Must be precision guarded.
You know that it's money. Those guys also know that we have limitations. You go to Katsina, in the Rugu forest, for example, there are hills, there are rocks where they can hide. So the Air Force who already know that, look, these guys, there are caves here where they run into. Once they hear the sound of an airplane overhead, they run into those caves. So it makes it inevitable that ground troops will have to move into those places to do the job. Because if you can't bomb them because they are hiding inside caves, then what do you do? For so long, even America, as strong as America is when it comes to the Air Force, Omar Mullah Abdallah, the leader of Taliban, they couldn't kill him. For years, they were targeting him, and he was hiding inside caves.
Yes,
hiding inside caves for years. Because how do you then kill somebody who will not come out for you to see him? The caves provide that kind of protection.
So resilience.
If you are driving through Katsina and Zamfara, you see a lot of those hills and small rocks here and there where these guys hide. So the ground troops, this kind of war will cost lives. If we are scared that, look, a major operation will cause loss of servicemen, then we will not be able to win this war. We have to take the battle to them. Part of what General Dambasa was saying was that we should take the battle to them. That is the only guarantee of victory.
That's the only way.
The reason we are doing well in the Northeast now is because we are taking the battle to them. We are not waiting for them to come and attack us anymore. We are taking the battle to them. The Tucanos are doing a good job. The UAVs too are doing a good job. And the ground troops are conducting the mop-up operations. We have to know that the threat in the Northwest is greater than that of the Northeast now.
Yes,
how many times do you hear that Boko Haram attack a military base anymore? But we still hear these boys killing soldiers in the Northwest. It's still happening. Yeah. So the threats are there. We have to deal with that threat, make these guys, make it difficult for these guys to threaten the election in any way. We did it in 2015. We can do it again.
Yes,
I believe it's possible.
Yes, we can. And finally, according to the popular Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And at worst possible time, on Tuesday, there was hope of a final resolution to the 6-month-old strike by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, who met with the federal government officials. But the negotiation meeting between government and ASU ended up in a deadlock, dashing hope of imminent resumption of academic activities in public universities. The meeting, which held at the National University Commission, NUC Abuja, ended without resolution. Hence, the strike continues. I thought there should be a strategy now, instead of just sitting.
Without respect, I think this government is not serious. This government does not value education.
You think so?
I believe so.
That if they have
that's what I'm saying. I will tell you why. Okay. I will tell you why. You see, every country determines what their priorities are. Apparently, this government does not value education. A government that can spend it depends on what we consider to be important to us. This government believes that, we cannot afford to remove petroleum subsidy because it will affect so many things. Rightly so. So this government can afford to, because of that, spend 6 trillion on subsidy because they know that removing the subsidy will create problems for a lot of Nigerians, and they don't want to do that. But our children in the universities have been home now for almost 6 months.
6 months now.
6 months now. And nobody is bothered. They just believe that it is not, and this is not the first time it's happening. There was a time like that they were home for about 9 months.
No,
sometimes they even
nobody is bothered though. They've expressed worry. They've done
when you say that they've expressed worry, they've discussed. For example, before this meeting, why everybody had this hope was because they gave the information that was leaked gave the impression that they've agreed finally to one of the conditions by the lecturers, and that based on that condition, you understand, that they will they will come back, and then they can now resolve the other thing. A government that wants to, that is bothered about the education of its citizens, why is it so difficult to grant that the lecturer said is the minimum thing that will make them to come back? Why should anybody think that the education of our kids are not important? You know why they do that? because all these people, including the president, don't send their kids to universities in Nigeria.
Apart from Ngige.
Maybe apart from Ngige. Okay. But most
he doesn't like it when we
generalize.
When we lump
oh, yes,
him
okay, he has done well. But that's a minority, one person in, because the problem that we have is that our elites don't send their kids to Nigerian universities.
Every day.
For example, every day they travel to UK and they showcase their kids. Yes, they're doing their graduation. But what I'm saying is that
there's even a compilation now of all public officers
if there are kids,
when their kids,
if there are kids are in Nigerian universities, there will have been pressure from their own family from their wives to say, look, they will have sent their kids at home. It shouldn't be like that.
There's a kind of miscommunication here. Now, it's looking as if the government does not care. But some of us insiders that we know about, some things that members of the public will refuse to understand. But it's like a catch-22 situation for the federal government of Nigeria. Do you think this government, as the mayor said, really don't care enough about this one? Is that the case here?
I think the government has handled this matter in a very responsible manner.
Thank you.
You set up the Musa Jibrin Committee to negotiate the 2009 agreement with ASU. Musa Jibrin, who once headed the Universities Commission, is familiar with how universities are run. He came up with his report. Government didn't do anything about the report. You are the one who set up the panel. Probably they didn't like the outcome. Neme Briggs, government set up another committee. That of Musa Jibrin was in respect of the first strike, which led to that memorandum of action that was not implemented. Neme Briggs, government set up a panel headed by Neme Briggs. Neme Briggs has turned in his report going to 3 months or so now. They still didn't act on the report. Why I'm saying they've handled this matter irresponsibly is if, yes, we've had some snippets coming from Neme Briggs' report, suggests that he's proposing 180% increase in salary of professors, for example. And you know the way they usually do is to cascade to all categories of
everybody.
Now, if you think that is too high, you already have information that this is what Briggs came up with. What do you then do? Are you not supposed to call these guys and say, come on, gentlemen and women, I've seen,
what we have in stock.
But you all know in what state we are as a country now. We cannot fund this. You will then come to a meeting point. Even all wars end up on the negotiation table. If you are stiff-necked, if you are inflexible, there won't be peace. So in this case, what has government done? Have they called these guys to say, look, Neme Briggs has come up with his report, but we disagree. We do not have the resources to
This is what we want to offer.
This is how far we can go. You have demanded that even the president can say, look, I'm the father of all of you.
Let me sit down with you.
I want to talk to you by myself. Is it too big for the president to say,
it's because they don't bother.
I'm sitting with you people, let us resolve this thing. If you give your ministers something to do, you said do it within 2 weeks. Although the letter came to say it was not an ultimatum. And you are not seeing results after 2 weeks. You can do it yourself because the buck stops at your table.
Yes. You should
we
do
are
it yourself.
attacking Ngige. Ngige is not the employers of those workers.
No.
It's the Minister of Education.
Yeah.
So he's not even talking. We are not even seeing signs that they are serious. Now, on the other one, because, look, these guys came up with no less than 9 conditions in the first instance. Later on, this last one, they came up with 2. renegotiation of the 2009 agreement, and adoption of UTAS as the payment platform. Now, everyone is talking about UTAS. They've done another test. ASU is saying that that second test also showed clearly that UTAS can work. What are you going to do? ASU now is ready to call off this strike even if you can accept UTAS alone.
So why is it so difficult to do that?
Another situation we might be faced with now.
Yes.
There are some state governments, they've been sitting down, they've been watching the negotiation going on. Yes. As of yesterday, as of last week, they started dropping it one by one that we are not affected by their negotiation.
You know why?
This is the federal government thing.
Because about 9 universities
cannot afford it.
No, because some nine universities are opened. All the universities in Lagos are open.
LASU.
All the 3 universities in Lagos are opened. All the 3 universities in Lagos. Lagos must be doing something right for those lecturers to agree to continue. What I'm saying
Lagos
is that
has the resources.
Pay better. You see, the federal government do not care enough. And that's why I'm saying, why do they care enough is that if you have problems with some people, you in the first place, you negotiated with them. They didn't force you to agree to certain things. Unfortunately, you could not meet those conditions. Now, they now said, oh, accept UTAS, we will go back. A government that is mindful of the fact that our university students have been at home for 6 months, is it too difficult to just consider to say, okay, if the only thing that will take these people back for us to be able to solve the other top problem, let us accept UTAS. Is that so difficult to do?
As if you accept UTAS, the country will collapse.
Is that so difficult to do?
Somebody asked the question that if it was Pengasan that decided that it will go on strike, can we afford to allow Pengasan?
We will make concessions.
Or even no Peng.
We've done that several times.
Can we afford to allow no Peng go on strike even for 1 week? Can we?
That's why I'm saying that it's because the government do not bother. They felt
let them say allow Pengasan to go on strike.
Anytime they say they want to go on strike, they will meet with them and they will call it off.
Even
that same day.
The other day, ordinary road in Port Harcourt, the road the road leading to the refinery.
Okay.
They said if they don't fix it, they will go on strike. No Peng. They had to call them to say no, we'll do something.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I have Ayo from Songot, Ogun State.
Hello, Babajide Ayo. Good evening.
Go ahead, please. You're my last caller.
Please, just like you guys are saying, federal government are not serious. Because by now, I expect that a serious government, you look at alternative. For instance, hello, can you hear me?
Just go ahead, please.
I expect that by now, all those, money given to senators to go and build their state, we draw those ones back. Any, ambassador to foreign countries that are not contributing anything to Nigeria, bring those money back, bring it to the table. Some oversight function minister to send money. Bring those ones to the table and settle this.
Ayo, it is not. People think that this whole strike is simply about money and money and no money. This matter of UTAS, they are not saying add to our salary. They are saying this payment platform is not flexible and it's not even foolproof. Say adopt this. This is the way it's done everywhere else. You can't have a situation in which a lecturer cannot go and do sabbatical somewhere or go and be what's it called? Visiting lecturer elsewhere. Because once you are captured on IPPIS, it's assumed that you are just a worker in that place. So the school where you want to go and do your serve as a visiting lecturer, they will not pay your.
They cannot because you won't be able to enter, they won't be able to access the platform.
They are not even. They will not. You are captured as a staff in your university.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They do not have the money. They can't even hire people. One of the VCs was telling me that the way it is, look, if we see things that we need to do, people that we need to hire, we can't even. It's so stiff. It's not flexible in any way. And they are saying, look, the university system doesn't run like this. So if you are not losing money by simply adopting UTAS, for example, It's not going to cost
Even
you.
if you don't like that, why is it
it
that
by
you cannot do
themselves.
that?
It
Yes.
cost them about 30 million to design that software. You are not losing money
They
by
had
that.
everybody on board.
It is the renegotiation that will cost you money. And even that one can be negotiated. Tell them you can't do more than this. You are not
Even if
talking.
you feel that, as a president, if you feel that, look, my universities have been closed for 6 months, and these people are saying that the minimum condition is that if you attempt UTAS, we will go back. That's what they said. That's why everyone was hopeful.
They are talking about
That's why we're hopeful that if you attempt UTAS, then we will go back. And you refuse. How can you refuse?
Gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Mayor Akikpelu, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
And BKO, thank you for always being there.
Thanks.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. and you catch us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.
Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices.